There we go.
All right, I'll call the April 1st, 2026 Finance Advisory Enhancement Committee to order. Do a roll call vote. Tim Hillenbrand. Here. Dave Micklick. Here. Paul Barth. Lauren Savoy.
Here.
Okay. And me, Michael Palmakowski's here, and Jay Langfeld is present. Do we have any public comments? Going in the room, anyone online wish to speak? Not seeing anything. Report outs. I don't have anything that's not on the agenda. Committee members. Bobby, staff members.
I've been too busy to think of anything to say, so no.
Okay. Alrighty.
Jay?
All right, move on to general business. Discussion and possible approval of the February 4th, 2026 Finance and Advisory Enhancement Committee minutes. I have a motion to approve.
Motion to approve February 4th, 2026 Financial Advisory Enhancement Committee minutes. Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right. Discussion regarding review of purchases and bid policy bid tabulation forms, if any. Does anybody have any questions on the purchases?
New purchase one?
The ones
The
that,
new one or the?
well, the ones that.
No, so,
The packet.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
The one on, page 11 for Cintas, the fire extinguisher stuff.
My 11, your 11?
These are 14 years maybe.
14 on me, okay.
Oh, no, it's not.
There it is. Oh, that's bad. Oh, Cintas fire right there.
But we brought this up maybe a year ago and there were some other contract being signed, but I don't know if Matt, you can look into maybe a different vendor for this.
Yep, so I've talked to Matt a couple times about this, and I know we talked to a couple different places. I know I brought it up to him and we talked about it.
Okay.
I can't remember if he actually talked to other places and Cintas was still the cheapest or why they went with. So Randy is the one who does this program and like goes around and does all the inspections, and he's retiring May 1st. So I don't know then if the next person who's in charge of this will go with someone else, but I do know that I've talked to Matt about this.
Okay, so
And that he was-
Randy's the village employee then, but he's just taking the person from site to site to site.
Yep.
Make sure he's checking them. That's part of the village. He's in, paid for the village. This is a separate fee, and I remember the one that sparked this conversation last time was the library, where they said a 6-year inspection and maintenance agreement was included in that bill that we got. And now we're seeing more stuff, inspection, testing, more fire extinguishers. I mean, we're spending $2,100 that on how many extinguishers are told, but in the library just did 2. So, that bill was all money last year. And I know the EMS building, we had Jefferson Fire and Safety come out and for less than, and the trip charge is less than $100, and there's like 8 of them. So it just seems to me that we need to research that further and get some harder answers than or bids or I don't know how we do that.
My memory's not great, but I know I've talked to Matt multiple times about this because I knew this has been brought up, and I don't remember why they stuck with Cintas.
Well, you made a comment about comment last time about there's a contract this time. Was it a multi-year contract or? So I thought one of the libraries it was a 6-year maintenance.
That's 6 years. That's where they have to do certain testing every 6 years. It's not the 6-year contract. It wasn't a 6-year contract because I know we have that.
Right? Yeah, I don't.
With
Yeah.
our apartment buildings, that certain
Right.
equipment has to go through
different, like,
a larger test.
yeah.
Every 6 years.
So yeah, maybe it was a
And I know we switched because Jerry wasn't happy with
Jefferson,
fire and safety
right.
because they didn't always show up on time, and today's world with cell phones and stuff, I can't believe that that can't be rearranged or whatever. It's not critical, it has to be done.
Yeah. So maybe that's the reason that they did this one because of the contract. Yeah, I don't.
But it's right, I'm just looking at the pool one. I don't care if there's, even if there's two of them, you could buy brand new ones for less than $257.
And the village employee to go there to open it up, show them where they're at.
Yeah, we definitely gotta, we'll put that on the staff. Can you ask Carly to put it on the next staff meeting? Because that,
Right, because if the pool is two and if the library is two, that 130 charge the bottom library. The 130, that doesn't.
Yeah.
It's a library charge. So the library got charged 267, whatever they did, the pool was 267.
yeah, there's-
So if there are two at the library, maybe there are two at the pool and they're charging 267 for two.
There are 3 at the library, if that helps at all.
Say that again, Elizabeth?
We have 3 at the library, if that helps at all.
Oh, okay, then maybe that's what it is. It's the charge for three or something like that.
This seems high, because you can buy them
Right.
new.
So. And then we had an inspection company that we'll talk about later that goes around and inspects all the private businesses anyways, and the villages. So that the company we're paying again to come in and inspect the extinguishers here to make sure that they've been tested and up to date yearly. So we spend.
The only difference is they can't certify them. They just make sure they're certified. Yeah.
Yeah, that
All
sounds
right,
great.
let's put it on the staff meeting and
Okay.
let's get this thing resolved.
Yeah, we get some. Do you have anything else, Tim?
I did, I was only gonna talk about the, I guess, one more sad, but, Matt's proposal for the trucks, and the state contract pricing, I guess, in the information that came out of the village packet, there was no indication that it was, of Iowa was, looked like where the truck was coming from. And I don't know if that's the vendor who does the.
When
The F600.
yeah, he had sent me an email. That's who I was asking about.
Oh,
Sorry, did I not get back to you? I must have forgot. I was going to send you an email back.
Okay.
I asked at the meeting and we were pretty certain that that was the state contract because he went with another dealership and it was like $500 more. Like they were giving.
Yeah.
This.
I don't know if, it sounds like the state contract's a little bit, they were matching what the state contract was. I don't know if they had the state contract,
had it, but it was.
but these dealerships now match it versus having one dealership.
Okay. Oh, yeah, you said maybe Milton Ford might be one of those.
Middleton Ford is who he got the bid through, and then he said he got a bid from a different dealer. They were just $500 more. Like they're, and
Yeah.
that could have been to haul it their fee or there's
Yeah.
a fee
I
on
think
top.
it was like 3,000. The price on the sheet from Lyle was like $3,000 for delivery or something.
Oh,
I guess,
it's already on
I'm
there.
not doubting when they said, I suppose he's looking for it, but maybe just for transparency reasons, he should have,
I think the email I sent Michael was it the February board, but there was a board packet where he had the sheet in there and it was for Middleton Ford.
Oh.
So it wasn't a village board packet,
Okay.
what dealership he got the quote from.
Yeah, it was probably the first one where we didn't take action.
Okay.
It was moved to because we wanted more information.
And he
So-
brought it back.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it was the
So
February.
some of the stuff that was in the packet was more as to put a proposal together.
But then, yeah, but that just was their bid. But I understand what you're saying. Like, was it actually what the state bid is? Like, I don't know where you find that out. What do you find out what the state bid cost is on this?
I read online.
Online.
But I've tried to, and I'm like,
It's not easy.
It's very hard. It is difficult.
I've done it a few times. I'm like, I don't know where this stuff is.
Or you get the different answer every time, or yeah.
I will say it's not an easy process. And that's why I think a lot of people are going to, what's the other one, Swellwell or something?
Sourcewell,
What is it?
Sourcewell.
Yes, Sourcewell. And I haven't been on that site. So I don't know what that looks like, how they are laid out.
But I understand what you're saying, just so that it's a verification and a transparency thing. That's actually the price that we're getting. And
Yeah.
how do we
Well,
verify better, you know.
we just gotta trust that when
You know,
they still filled out that form, right?
We did not fill out the.
The official form?
Yeah.
Probably not, yeah.
Well, we should need to do that.
That's like where he goes out and writes in with the state bid prices,
Yeah.
and if he can't get it, he has to have 3 bids from 3 different
Right.
people and
One
whatnot.
guy wants the one that's higher, and it's not a state, I mean, it's all flexible enough for him to do whatever he
Yeah.
wants.
Right.
So, yeah, we gotta start, since that's the process, we should make sure people do that. It's not that complicated on the form.
No, and I would think all he would have to do is ask Middleton Ford is, what's the state bid on this truck? And they would they not, would they know? I mean,
I would think they probably have an idea.
Yeah.
Because if, like I say, what I have heard, you know, I remember with squads, we always had to buy them from Milwaukee. Because they were the dealership that had it,
Right.
but then Kaiser ended up matching, so then we were able to buy from Kaiser.
Or the, well, we got our car squads here for.
Yeah, I'm guessing because the chief said, so it's, you know,
Yeah, no, I
it's spread out a little bit more, so.
I definitely get that. It's just how do we get what that
Yeah.
number is independent of what dealership? That's
Right.
The other thing was that, is it did say from Iowa, I think it's Iowa, but I mean, if we're gonna spend taxpayers' dollars and stuff, we should probably stick in Wisconsin as well. don't know.
I think it is from Wisconsin. I think the name just has Iowa in it.
Oh, okay.
I think, my understanding, everything was from Wisconsin.
Okay.
for what Matt was ordering.
Yeah.
Oh,
We don't pay sales tax anyway, so it doesn't matter that it's from Iowa.
but I think he's just saying it's a Port of Wisconsin.
Right.
Oh, I
But
thought you,
the chassis and stuff are coming from Middleton. And then that lift thing, I'm pretty
I
sure,
thought that was kind of local too.
yeah, I think it's very local,
I don't know.
but it may be produced in Iowa or something in the name, but it's not, we're not going to Iowa.
Right, no. The stuff I was reading indicated that from Ford was a Ford dealership in Iowa. Maybe I'm misreading it, but.
Oh.
Well, maybe that's where they grab the truck from.
Yeah.
Maybe,
I don't know. I guess I didn't read it. I didn't read it.
Following the procedure in the form would make it so much simpler to.
right, but we're purchasing it from Middleton,
Yeah.
so that's local. Where they get it, I don't know.
Right.
Any other questions on the checks?
Anything else? Tom?
I-
All right. What was this? Oh, discussion regarding financial reports at all? Anybody have anything on the reports that were put out for the new year?
I did hear from the auditors today. They were gonna send a draft of the audit to me this afternoon, and I don't have that yet.
We have the same problem I have with auditors.
Yeah. And there were a few things I was like,
Hey, stop. Sorry. I better shut this off. My puppies are barking.
All right, now we're on to the discussion on question regarding the Village of Crespin's investment fund. People have a chance to review the, Bobby can put some updates in there.
The only thing, you gotta change the administrator, still has Bill Chan on it, so,
oh, on the signature page?
yeah,
Yeah, that'll get changed, yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Just wanna make
Yeah.
sure,
Yeah,
everything else was changed, so.
yeah. So I know Michael had sent a few comments and I just thought we could talk about those tonight. I didn't make additional changes on what your comments were.
Sure, so what I said the comments with the investment income will be allocated to the Consensus Capital Fund, water utility and sewer utility based on percentage of the respective participation. We don't have anything in there that basically says.
That's not supposed to be capital projects. Right? It's supposed to
No,
be
that's
general.
right.
fund.
No,
Isn't, that's like where the money from.
For like the-
Borrow money.
for like the police station and stuff. But you're talking about the general funds not listed.
That's what,
Yeah.
basically I had said a comment where we need to then say,
I think I just forgot to write the word general fund in here.
Yeah, you just need general fund in there and it'll be fine.
Yeah, I'm like, let's
You
just
don't
say
have to make it
general
more
fund. but-
complicated than
okay.
that.
Well, but like, now, because last time we had a discussion about the library fund. The library fund is not in the general fund, but that money, when it says it's gonna be allocated on with the percentage of their respective participation,
Oh, I get what you're saying. Like,
basically the general fund gets everything else. If we're trying to, because that library fund money is going to be in that pool. And it's not in the general fund, but that library fund's gonna be making interest. You get what I'm saying? That if we're saying that all the other interest goes in the general fund.
I think on this,
disagree with you. I think the library fund for the village is in the general fund.
No,
No,
it's
it's a
a
separate-
fund balance.
Well, but
the money isn't separate.
no, but the salaries and everything we put through our operating budget, right?
It's in the,
They,
it's separate.
No, the money for the salaries for the library don't come out of the general fund, all that money gets moved. Doesn't they get moved in, I mean, technically into like a library holding, and that's where their salaries. are paid
technically,
out of.
once we give the library their funds, we don't have any control over them. So to me, it's a general fund that we're transferring over to the library. So it's in our general fund, because once it goes into library, it's theirs. They can do whatever they want with it.
Right, but
That's very clear.
it's not in a separate checking account.
No, I understand that, and it shouldn't be. We give them the budgeted amount that they ask for that gets approved. We hand it to them, and they can do whatever they want. So to me, it's part of our general fund. We are helping them by keeping track of everything, but technically, we wouldn't have to if you read state statute.
Okay.
I mean, it's a pass-through. The only thing is we maintain a lot of it. Because I went round and round with Pam on that, because once we give them the money, if they want to take what we put in for, let's say, electricity, and they want to put it to salary, they can. We can't stop them from doing that. Now, they still have to cover the electric part. But don't we just hand them a lump sum?
Right.
I'm confused, but I guess don't we have, we're in the sheets, the library.
We do, but I've always thought that is just as we're helping them keep track of it so they don't have to. And it comes into our audit and everything to save them money and stuff. But once we approve the money to the library,
Yeah, I get that, but I'm just saying, when you go back in these sheets by the breakdown, it's all under our general fund.
It's
I think we
actually,
read a check up to the library, right?
well,
no, it's a separate fund.
That's what it is, but
It's a separate fund, it's not a separate bank account.
right.
No, it's not, no.
That's.
Yeah.
Well, it depends what they have money in a number of stuff that are their own. You're right. Some of it is maintained with us.
Right. But for the yearly budget stuff isn't, the stuff we maintain. We don't give them a check or anything. Right. I mean, if you go back to the.
Right, we don't cut a check
Sure.
and give it to the library and they deposit it in their own checking.
Right, and all the
Correct.
finance sheet you just showed us earlier has a separate one for library.
Right. We do the accounting for them, for sure.
Right. But there's no, it's just.
But here's what I'm saying is, let me give you the difference. The police department, if we're short in funds, we can tell Tony, you gotta cut this, and this from your budget.
Okay.
We can't do that to the library.
right, that's why
That's,
library money is not in the general fund, it is in the library fund of unexpended money.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying, it is not, the
Okay.
police department is in the general fund. Parks and Rec
Okay.
budget is in the general
I,
fund. The library fund has its own coding and it
yeah,
has its
no,
own,
I
and
understand.
it has its own fund balance.
Right, so should that fund balance be getting interest?
Exactly, and the last time when we were talking, you guys made it sound like you didn't want the library fund balance to be accruing interest. So,
No, we didn't say that. We didn't
well, you
think
didn't want it going.
it should, because it's mostly village money, it should stay within the village because it's not a budgeted item for the library fund.
I mean,
I still hold that.
this is another point was brought up is like the money we're earning for interest could help pay for like administrative costs, like Renee and I processing payroll and AP on the library behalf.
Right, you don't build that back for any.
No.
Right. Anyway, Elizabeth has her hand raised whenever.
Okay.
Yeah. Can I jump in quick?
Of course.
Okay, thanks. So I guess my concerns, and I'm sure my board will share this concern, is like Michael said, so by state statute, like the village contributes money to our operation, but then our library board has control of the finances, and determines how it's allocated. So like our money is held in a separate fund and is supposed to be kept separate. So I'm concerned if the interest that we're earning on the money that should be just in the library fund is going back into the general fund. That seems like that's not following what state statute should be doing per like how the financials are supposed to be laid out. I don't disagree with Bobby. I'm sure it is a ton of administrative work on the village's end to process payroll, cut the checks, do all of that. But that's also how things are set up in the state for libraries based off the statute. So I guess I wanted to be at this meeting so I could get a better understanding of why we were looking at excluding the library from getting to keep the interest on the library funds that we do have, and sort of just get a better feel from where you guys were coming from.
Well, I can let you know, this is Jay speaking. It's the same thing that my concerns were when we were going through the budget process. That fund balance that you have is made up of a line item that you have that is a profit or I mean, when we had this discussion, you write your budget and this 2026, originally you had a $16,000 profit to it. The year before you had 45,000. That's village taxpayer money that is not going for expenses for that year. It's going for basically into your fund balance. I don't think it's fair for the taxpayers to pay for that and then not get the interest off of it since it's their money. Plus, we're doing all these in-kind services that none of the other jurisdictions that use the library do. That's why, from my perspective, that interest money hasn't been budgeted to you. So that's where I'm coming from. I just don't think it's fair for the library to put in a profit margin for an investment. And we know this year you're probably up around 44% of your operating budget, which is a huge fund balance. And there's no policy within the library how high that goes. So where's the fairness to the village? Now, if we want to go the route where we do, instead of doing in kind, we do where that becomes part of your budget, where a percent of it goes for the administrative that the village do, then I would think that would be fair. But I just don't think it's fair to tax village residents at a profit level and then put it in the bank and then make interest off of it.
So our village board, our library board has been talking about, after the budget meetings this year, we've been talking about how to spend down that fund balance. A huge chunk of that was there when I started. We do have a policy that we need to keep at least 20%. Obviously, we are above that. So we've been actively talking about ways to spend it down so that we are being, so we don't have a big capital project in the future that we're asking the village to fund. We could use the fund balances for that. Because I know we need like new flooring, new bathrooms. Is that something we can use fund balance for? So like we are actively looking at that for sure. I guess I would also argue it's not that different from the village building up a big like extra chunk in the general fund that was able to be used. I mean, we put $1 million from that towards Village Hall. That's kind of the same thing. Like that was all unexpended funds that the taxpayers provided that went towards a large, like they sat in a slush fund basically for years and then were able to go towards a big capital project. So I guess I'm not totally sure what the difference is between those two scenarios. There might be something I'm missing, but we are actively working on ways to smartly use that extra fund balance in a way that will benefit the community, the taxpayers, and be a good use of it.
Okay, the confusion is the difference between the village, if you look at our budget, we're at 0, 0. When we finish a budget, the expenses equal the revenue at 0. Now, you're right, during the year, there are cost savings that can happen. Most of that's probably by salary savings from vacancies. So that does then get moved into the fund balance. And you're right, we have one that says 20 to 25%. Then we take that money automatically the next year, at least the last couple of years, and we've put it towards the capital cost. So we're spending it right away, but we don't have it built into our budget that we have a surplus. The surplus comes from savings within the budget. That's the key difference. The library actually budgeted a profit to be put in there. That's the key difference.
Well, and that was an unintentional, I misunderstood based off of your budget memo, which is like we can only have, a 1% increase or stuff has to stay flat. But our Dane County and adjacent county funding fluctuates year to year based off of usage. And that's part of, like you mentioned, Town of Barry and Town of Cross Plains, who provide services. They don't provide administrative costs. The money we get from Dane County is because we're providing those services. So like they are helping to fund us because of that. So even though it doesn't look like it's coming directly from those two counties, they are helping to cover those costs. But because that fluctuates, I guess I just misunderstood how you wanted us to approach that from the library's standpoint. I get that I did that incorrectly. I know how to do it moving forward. I just thought, the other departments have that just single revenue source. And I just misunderstood that you wanted me to still submit supplementals for those items instead of coming back later in the year. So I will do that going forward today.
Elizabeth, not that I'm proposing this, but do other libraries pay municipalities for administrative services?
I don't know of any that do. That would be, I think, a strange setup. I can certainly inquire and see if there are any that are operated that way, and I just don't know about it. To the best of my knowledge, I've never worked for any that did it that way.
I was like, oh, well, maybe I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it would be kind of like if you charge the police department for running, like we are a village department. So to the best of my knowledge, that is not usually a way that it is done, but I can certainly ask around and see if I can find anyone.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not proposing that. I was just curious if you knew of any that did that.
Yeah, definitely not off the top of my head. So I'd have to look into that.
Okay. So,
getting back to the policy. Yeah.
Right, with all that having been said, even though they have fund balance inside of this policy, how do we want to structure this? Because, those funds are the library funds. Is that interest that those library funds and the fund balance making going to be recaptured by the general fund? Is basically the question. And any other funds that should exist inside of the villages, like on the village's books, like the pool improvement fund, that isn't in the general fund. That's money that's been given by swim team members that, it's $50,000 or whatever. I mean, there are these other funds that are all going to get pooled together when we then put it in the sweep vehicle that's going to get interest that are going to be accruing interest. If you aren't specifically listed capital projects fund, water utility fund, sewer utility fund, library fund, yes, no, but all those other funds, everything else, then the general fund is basically where all that other interest gets pulled. That's the question to the committee, because this didn't really make that very clear where everything else was going. So what are your guys' thoughts on that?
We get the philosophy that you one general fund and then spoke out based on what donations are for, or what are that funds for, so something's 50,000, it's gonna be 50,000, that's a running balance, but the big, all the money into one account, getting interest should probably stay, I mean, kind of run a village too, which is part of,
The interest that $50,000 would make just goes into the general fund for use for the village. Those separate accounts don't gain interest, nor like,
right,
it sounds like the proposals that the library fund balance is also the same thing. That interest doesn't accrue inside the library fund balance, but it accrues. That interest is swept to the general fund.
Again, just think of the administrative work that it would be to take all those, break it out. And again, we aren't charging anybody anything for all the administrative work that's being done. You know, and I can tell you the administrative work is gonna easily outweigh the revenue from a $50,000 CD.
Once you set up a spreadsheet, you just put numbers in and it all just falls out because it's all just based on percentages, especially on interest. And if you're bringing in for capital projects, water utility and sewer utility, and you just list 15 other sub funds and you just say, this is the percentage.
Well, someone's got to keep track of that and keep changing the dollar amount and the percentage amount, and then you got to add that into it.
Spreadsheets do that very quickly.
Well, someone's got to keep track. So when someone does a $5 donation from swim team, now it's $50,005. I'm sorry, the computer's not going to do that for you. Someone's going to have to go in and enter it.
She keeps track of what the pool improvement fund is now. She goes in and bumps up the improvement fund when you get donations from the swim team, right, Bobby? Like, or
To
somebody.
be fair, like the pool improvement and bear improvement, those park funds, we generally only adjust at the end of the year.
Okay, but they do get it.
Because I wait till the end,
Right.
because normally I would say like each pool membership, I think $5 is supposed to go to the pool improvement fund. Well, when they pay online or bring a check in, it's all just recorded as pool general revenue. And so then at the end of the year, Mike's like, okay, well, we sold 100 memberships, so move $500 into pool improvement.
Right.
So it's not like every month we're,
No, I get that. I wasn't
Bumped it
saying
up
every
$5.
second you were sitting there like
Yeah.
$5 more, but they are being kept track of in some manner. I'm just saying that it's possible. I don't think the administrative overhead is that much, but I understand the reason for not doing it as well.
yeah, you can look at it, there's a number of ways, look, I think the village does a lot to support all this stuff, and that interest that's gonna make, we're having some good interest years. The one's a bad interest year, nobody gets excited about that either. I mean, it's been working the way it is. Why are we trying to, and I don't know,
Well, because before we weren't allocating interest from water and sewer back to water and sewer. We've been allocating most of that interest to the general fund lately, right? Is that correct?
right. So
Yeah.
this policy was in place before I started, and I will say I did not read it close enough and follow it. And the person before me was not allocating interest, so I never did, and then we should have been all along. But in any event, going forward, we're gonna follow the policy, but we just gotta determine what we want the policy to actually say.
Right, if we're allocating interest.
And
where
see-
we want to allocate, or which funds are going to be allocated to them.
And so we do have some CDs and bank accounts that are just 100% sewer funds and 100% water funds. So the interest earned in those accounts do get allocated to water and sewer. It's just in our main checking account, in our
And the main-
insured sweep account, right? Those interest dollars we're just going to general fund.
And I think it's critical that water has to get all theirs because it's built into the PFC that you have to have a rate of return. And I think sewer, because it's its own utility, should be, I mean, they're enterprise,
You know, I agree.
they're business-like. I guess the audit calls them business-like. So that, to me, that's the only one that's an automatic should have to.
so Michael, what are you asking on this? Are you asking that something's differently changed then?
Well, I'm just saying that we need to put something in there. You know, we're saying interest will be allocated to capital projects, water utility, sewer utility, based on their respective participation. I would like something to be added into there that says, and the remaining interest from all of the funds is allocated to the general fund. Because then now you know where everything's going.
Right. Usually because of the specific.
It doesn't specifically, where is it going?
Yeah.
And where, what else is, I mean, you can assume what is left, but I really like things to be spelled out, so when somebody reads this, they go, okay, you're giving the money that capital has it, the money that water has it, the interest of water, the interest that sewer makes. All the other monies is just lumped together and that interest just goes to general. And it clears up.
But
Okay.
actually, if you read it as written, it says investment income will be allocated. It makes it sound like it's only going to be allocated to those three and nothing would go to the general.
Well,
I think it's like,
that's why.
Because it doesn't have any, so even though they might have, those might be only 20% of our.
that's me. I think when I wrote that, I just forgot to write general fund, but it should say general fund, yes.
You don't have general funds, or do we need to look at this at our next meeting then, or is that, is that the only?
If that's the only change, we could, make a motion to approve and with that change, with the amendments that we talked about.
Because didn't we have a couple months ago, in one of our meetings, have like a spread, like a listing of the.
I think
The auditors had sent me like a sample.
Sample, like a sample.
Yeah.
Okay, that wasn't
Yeah.
based on any actual numbers.
Right, yep.
So we're gonna add, so just asking, we're gonna add something here that says all other funds interest will be allocated to the general fund, right? We just don't want to add general fund there because then library fund is still hanging out
Okay,
there
yep,
as like, where does that money go? That's why you have to say the general fund is like the black hole for all other funds. That where this money is being pooled, the black pool or the general fund is assuming ownership for pooling purposes for interest.
I mean, if you want, I can make the change and then we can come back for final approval next month, that's fine.
So
Yeah, that's fine. This isn't going anywhere. Or it will go somewhere, but
Yeah.
This has to go to the
it's
board.
gonna go to the board, but what I meant is
Yeah.
it isn't a gigantic rush as well.
Yeah, because I'll just retroactive back to January and,
Right, exactly.
calculate everybody's stuff out.
And then if ever another fund wants to be added to that list, it can be added. Say at the board level, they're like, well, we want the library fund getting it. You just
And that very much
you just
could
put
be.
library fund on that line, and everything else is still just going to the general.
Yeah, the board definitely could add library fund back in there.
Right, so that line, but then all that other stuff, pool improvement, fair park, blah, blah, everything else. Extra money just goes, yeah, we need to have something like that. Just so it's clear. I would like.
Or even if I put investment.
you put a little allocated to the following funds based on your participation, and then have a list of 3 or 4 general fund, capital improvements, water, sewer, somebody else through the library or somebody else through similar. You just add it to that, have it as a list rather than.
Whether or not it's,
I'm just saying.
but the general funds needs to be separate than those because it's gonna be collecting interest from other things that aren't in the general fund, like the pool improvement fund isn't in the general fund. It's just money that's in the sweep account that's gonna be gaining interest. That isn't, where does it go?
Well, I differ. I think that is clearly in the general fund.
I don't think it is.
It's on the general fund's balance sheet.
Yeah, I don't, like I say, we don't wanna waste a whole lot of time discussing. I hear your point of view on where, the different funds, so that's fine. But like I say, I think the general fund covers everything but what is named outside that. We have the 12 funds when we vote on it. Those are what are they, 8 or 12, right? When it comes budget time, we take each one of the funds. Those are technically the funds.
So are those just sitting as like assigned funds inside the general fund's balance is how you're doing it?
Yeah.
Okay, so then are there any funds that exist outside of the general fund? Is what I'm saying, like any other monies that aren't, that are in the sweep account that aren't?
The only one would be the debt one, but I don't see why that's a fund, that's separate fund.
Like currently for the KP trail, one of the grants, we were allowed to get like 50% of it up front. And so it was like 122,000. So
where's that sit?
it's sitting in the capital fund on the balance sheet, but yeah, it's in a pooled account. But so the general fund is getting the cash from that 122,000 at the capital fund.
We gotta be careful with that, where it doesn't fall into, what is it called when you make too much money?
Oh, the arbitrage?
Yeah,
Oh,
I didn't know that, but that'd be one that we'd have to kind of watch.
But is that money sitting in the capital projects fund?
yes.
Is it having that- So that interest would be just being allocated to the capital projects then, and that's the general fund. If it's sitting in the capital projects fund though, right?
Well, after this policy's passed.
Right, that's
Yeah.
what I mean.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, well, that's where I'm just trying to figure out if there's things that exist outside, because I was just,
Most of the assigned fund balances or assigned accounts are within the general
like
fund.
what I was describing. the very-
Like all the pool and park and grant money that's donated.
Okay.
Yeah, stuff like that. That's in the general.
Well, then if they all exist as assigned funds inside that, then they could then just most likely be listed as its own. I mean, just as long as there's nothing hanging out that isn't there, as well. As long as there's a money that's sitting outside of.
Everything's gotta be assigned to one of those funds.
Right, that's what I'm saying, like, when we put that up there, if the funds that we list is where all the money sits currently, then that's fine. Like if there's money that doesn't sit inside the general capital projects, water, see, because if we have extra money sitting in debt service, where does that go? That's why I'm saying I want the general fund to act as where all the other interest goes. Because if we have interest being made in debt service, then it's not being covered.
So I'm trying to remember.
What about interest being made in the TID? Where does that money go? Because the TID right now is
Just general fund?
see that's why we need to say things not listed. So can the TID money go to the general fund legally? Or does it have to stay?
Right, yeah, no, the auditor said that we are not required by law to allocate pooled cash. It is not a requirement to
So the
allocate
TID
pooled cash
money-
interest.
So the interest we're making off the TID, since we're not closing it, can go to the general fund.
Yeah.
So that's $1 million.
Well, not, the
TID.
money within the TID cannot go. Interest might be able to, but not the money because we only own 37% of that.
I'm not talking about the actual, I'm just talking about interest.
Okay, all right.
Specifically what I'm talking about. Because now, if the.
Well, TID just broke even, so they don't have a,
Yeah, yeah.
it's not like for all these
and we're
years the
closing
TID had
it.
all this money. Like they were actually in the red and the general fund was funding the TID.
Right, no, I absolutely understand that, but like right now, isn't the TID's fund balance for this year going to be like $900,000? I believe it is, because we were talking about closing.
Paying off
That was
the,
in 2027, I think. I don't know.
It's this year, there's like a.
This year, but yeah.
Fund balance.
But I don't know. I don't even want to speak without having the numbers in front of me. But I know we're looking to close it in 2027.
Right, but we were,
So I don't know exactly where we're at right
because
now.
we were talking about closing that one bond and we decided not to. and we said-
Right, so we're still paying that bond.
so
But
like
the TID,
all of
that
these-
bond exists for another 10 years, we only have to pay $50,000 on it, but we're gonna have $800,000 in the TID account.
I don't,
So all of these are in the general fund.
Right, that's like what I was talking about. But then.
So you're thinking each one of these should be earning its own interest.
Well, no, I mean, if we wanted to go that far, we could, but I didn't know that those were things, that those existed. I wasn't sure if they existed inside the general fund.
Yeah, those would do.
So if everything exists inside a certain fund, then that's fine, as long as we make sure we're saying where the interest inside those funds go. But this year, I know that the TID is gonna have a fund balance of $500,000.
Several $100,000, yes.
Yeah, it's gonna have it, so it's going to be earning interest. I know it's going to be closed, but according to our policy, we are not saying where that interest gets allocated. And I think we
Yeah.
need to say.
We'll make that change. We'll bring it back next month.
Yes, but everything else goes to the general fund. The
Yep.
general fund just doesn't get listed as a fund. All of their existing funds are considered the general fund for pooling purposes and it receives that interest. Because that means that if we leave the library at a listing, then all the library interest goes to the general fund. It just solves that problem.
Okay.
Okay, did anybody else have anything else inside of here?
Do we have a list of the things and stuff listed on this policy?
yeah, She had,
On the call, yeah, that's
Oh,
further.
it was near the end.
When we borrow money,
Yeah.
you're gonna borrow from your home, you go to your bank or several banks to find out a home loan with plots for the best rates and all this stuff. Why don't we do that internally? Why do we pay, is it Ellers? We go out and we pay them thousands and thousands of dollars upfront on the money we borrow. And the bank has to sign all these forms to our policies, I think the checkout sheet. So,
No, we go to bonds. We use Ellers to borrow bonds. We don't go to a bank.
A couple years ago, we did not go through Ellers. We just did local bank
Right.
financing.
Generally, if
I
it,
think the People's Community Bank was the winner of that one.
yeah, when they're small amounts, but when we do,
Yeah.
like, I think it used to be $1 million. If you did $1 million or more, it was worthwhile going out onto the market and selling the bonds, municipal bonds.
and then you have to certified or.
Yeah, there's a lot of work, yeah.
Right. Okay.
And so this last one that we did for 3 million or whatever it was, that was bond issues. So we're not using a
Is
bank.
it cheaper money?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I mean, even with Ellers money, we were paying that.
We are paying a lot, yeah, for Ellers and disclosure fees and bond counsel fees. Yes, there are a lot of
But
financing.
we were
costs.
anywhere from 3.25 to 4% on those $3 million loans.
No,
And if you look at what mortgage rates are, they're over 6, and commercial is gonna, I believe, is higher than residential, isn't it?
And also this policy doesn't cover borrowing.
Oh, you
It's
haven't
just
been out,
cash. It's just,
but generally it's at least that.
this policy that we're discussing is not about borrowing.
Okay.
This is just for where we're keeping our cash to earn interest. So that's a totally different policy.
Well, I would think that would help us for a better interest rate as well. I mean, if you take all the money we pay for Ellers, and why bond, if the rates are, again, cheaper or the same as us going out and borrowing our own money from local banks where we have hundreds of thousands of dollars sitting, that might be willing to give us a good rate.
You're not gonna get what we got at a bank, because even USDA, which was lower, they were at 5 something, 5.2 something.
I think that's what Mount Horeb used to borrow the USDA for their fire station.
Market probably.
Yeah.
the only other question that I brought up with Bobby was inside of here, she had updated things to say finance director, clerk treasurer. Are we fine with that wording inside here, even though she is all those people, removing?
He doesn't want me to list all my titles.
How do you want to, like, the financial
Well, that's what I don't.
director?
Well, that's what I'm saying, like, if we have finance director, what if they're just doing all this, because she's still a finance director, is what I'm saying. I mean, I think we could definitely remove clerk, like, if clerk is removed, she's still a finance director treasurer. Like, you don't have to have a clerk in there to say that, even though it's one person. Because are we trying to designate a person, or are we trying to designate a title?
A title.
And that's what I'm saying.
That's my title.
That's her title. That's the position that's doing it.
I understand, but what if at some point we break out and now there's a different clerk and she's no longer the clerk? Then who does this? Because it's.
So then you gotta change it, just like it said,
It used to
village
say
administrator, because they were /
clerk treasurer.
clerk.
Yeah, when this was written, the administrator was also the clerk and the treasurer.
Right.
Right, that's what I'm saying, that is there any way to future proof it so that we don't have to? Like, if we remove clerk, it doesn't change this document.
So I would remove clerk and treasurer then.
We could remove clerk and treasurer, and then it's the finance director working with the village administrator, who's the executioner of this investment.
Oh, we have a vacancy of financial director.
Huh?
What if the financial, I suppose you're all one person.
That's fine. I'm fine with.
However,
whatever clerk treasurer. That's fine.
I mean,
You want.
you don't know if you split it up. Are you gonna split up its financial?
I guess who really cares? It's the title, and right now, the position that's in charge of all of this, we're saying is whoever's sitting in that office. And yeah, in the future, it could change, just like it changed since 2014. Then you change the policy.
I'm
So
fine
what-
with removing clerk treasurer. It'll just say administrator and finance director. Is that fine with everybody?
I'm just saying, so we prepare for this document, it can be changed, I get that, but if your vacancy became open because you went to a different job or whatever, does that leave us sitting with no?
We don't have a finance.
Someone will be an interim finance director.
Becomes the finance
So the
director.
board just appoints somebody to work
No,
on?
it's not the board, it'd be, usually it's the administrator, like, right now, we don't have Mike, so Kelly is the interim.
Kelly.
We have that flexibility.
Is it what?
Who's Kelly?
Yeah, it's Jill.
Jill, I'm sorry, my God,
I thought you were.
I am so bad with names right now, I don't know,
Technically, we did not name an
We have that
interim.
flexibility.
Nobody's getting paid to be the interim.
but, right,
It's just fine. Yeah.
Okay,
It is, so
got it.
this finance director, I think is fine. Somebody's gonna have to hold that position. Finance director or.
Or designate.
There is a place where it does say that.
yeah, that's generally how documents are written.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, those were the only two things that I saw when I was reading it.
As far as questions, yeah, I was just remembering. It was just a name thing.
And then.
I changed this to quarterly, just because I started doing it quarterly.
Yeah, that's.
I will say, I don't know how many years ago it was, Michael brought to my attention that I was supposed to be doing this report. I hadn't done it for probably the first 5+ years I was here. And he's like, hey, do you know our policy says you're supposed to be doing this report? And I said, no. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, I did change it to quarterly because I just do it with the quarterly other report that I do for the board. So that's fine.
Like that, we'll make sure we review it every 3 years.
And I might have pulled that from someone else's policy or something. I
We'll
don't
see who
remember.
remembers that though.
That's what I mean. We have all these policies and people forget about them or they start and aren't.
That's why a lot of places have a policy committee.
Basically, it seems like we review it when a bunch of banks changes. When a bank list changes. So much.
Just to keep.
So half of these got new names.
What is the Wisconsin investment?
Series Cooperative.
Yeah, is that something new? Is that-
No,
That is who has our CD
Oh,
for the sewer. And I was like, well, I should probably add them on here because we do.
we have a finance instrument with them.
and we borrowed from the retirement fund one time. I remember yeah, they have a unit that you can borrow from them, and it was pretty reasonable at the
Oh,
time.
the state trust fund?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah, we borrowed from them one time.
So is this list,
Is there anything we want to add to this?
are these all inclusive of the ones we currently have? Or are there some on there that we don't have any
We
money?
currently have a loan through this bank. We don't do anything with Chase or Park. We have a loan with this bank. Nothing.
Yeah, I just noticed that you crossed off Anchor Bank, which is now Old National Bank, so I didn't know if you wanted to.
Add back in Old National. That's what I mean, like we can.
Because you replaced Anchor Bank, so I didn't know if that was. I mean, obviously, Monona Bank and State Bank of Cross Plains are now Lakeview, so that's. Guarantee I can't.
I don't remember that.
And you know what?
If you want to add full dash.
Sure.
Finance, I don't. And most of like our pooled money that we're talking about, all that's health. They used to be some at State Bank and some at Monona, but when
Right.
they combined, it's just all turned into one.
And I know that there was talk about moving some stuff to Park Bank. Our auditors and Ellers thought since Judy was on the board that wasn't a great idea. As long as she was employed there, because she had such a, she wasn't just like a teller. She was a vice president or whatever.
So wasn't she employed up in Monona?
Yeah.
When we established the sweep vehicle or the bank it was.
It's just that she has to abstain.
The.
She abstained. quite a bit.
Yeah, because we established a long time ago, we went out and kind of did a bidding thing to see where we would get the best interest rate for our sweep vehicle. And so the State Bank Cross Plains and the Middleton Community Bank like presented options, and that sweep vehicle there gave a slightly higher interest rate. So put some money over there. We haven't done that in a while. I'm not suggesting we need to, but it is an option. It hasn't been used in a while. So, all right, is that it? Anybody have anything else?
All right, so I'll make the changes and we'll bring it back next month for final approval.
Sounds great. Okay, so now, is this the
Discussion for the fire dues.
okay? This is the discussion regarding 2% fire dues. Do you want to go, Tim, or whatever?
Justin, get a chance to talk to you guys, and I don't know, I guess, wait to see what your response is from the three of you.
Yeah, we chatted this morning. So the state statute actually says the 2% fire due money, it goes to the municipality, but if we are part of a district, we're supposed to turn that money over to the district. So we've been doing it not the same as everyone else. We've been like keeping the money, but then essentially taking it off of what we would pay them on an annual basis.
So then we are paying them with that money then.
Well, what it is basically,
We're still paying it to them. Or is it not being done this way?
there's a better way of doing it. Let's put it that way. I don't say we were doing it wrong. There's just a better way. Now, why the state has the system that it has, why it just can't go to the fire district, I don't know. But I think it is wiser, and we talked, and it makes sense that the money just goes right into the fire district. It's a pass through, just like we do with other things. Then what'll happen is the budget for the fire department will have a higher revenue, which means there'll be less revenue needed from the municipality.
Okay, that's what I was wondering about it with the pass through, because thought I'd read where they could have possibly put it into a fund to buy hoses and capital.
Well, what he has been doing.
Well, because if that started happening, it's gonna bump our levy up because we're still gonna fund them. Because I thought we were using that money, because it's like a $23,000 check, right? I don't know. Kind of
Yeah, it's in the front. So what he has done is they go out and buy the stuff. They still need hoses, they still need stuff. So then when they get audited, they just show that they've spent this money. And the auditor doesn't care who's holding the money, if it's the village or the district, as long as they spent, let's say it ends up 40,000, with it. So as long as they spend 40,000, the auditor's happy if it's for the right cause.
Yeah, no, I'm fine with that. I guess I'm just concerned it's gonna bump up our levy.
Well, I feel if anything would lower the levy.
Well, if it's just a pass through, it'll be the same, but if we send, because right now.
It'll be less cost for us.
So if I have it right, when, at the end, when they do the assessment, we have that 2% that comes in. We pay our assessment plus the 2%.
No, the 2% is, let's say the total budget's 40,000 that the state gives, okay? So right now, how it is the fire district spends 40,000.
Right.
And they charge us all, but we take the 23 to help pay for our share. Now what it's gonna be is they're gonna get the money, they're gonna spend that money, so technically there should be 23,000 less being billed to us in it. So it should be, instead of this showing as a revenue, right, it's gonna be a pass-through, but our expense from fire should go down. That's isn't that how you understood it from Justin?
That's what I hope happens.
Well, I don't understand how it cannot happen.
The 20,000 isn't just gonna be free money to them.
Well,
It should reduce how much they need from us.
Right.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
if it's just a pass through, why are we even changing?
because that's how the state statute is really,
And that's how everyone else does it.
yeah. We're the odd duck and the state, and I'm not sure why they do it. Maybe it's for the accounting purposes or so someone keeps track. I have no idea. It's
Just
just,
think, part of that, the village has a tax ID number or a number that, for when they issue checks out.
Yeah, that for a vendor, yeah.
Yeah, vendor number, whatever. So say like the M's assistance fund comes here, you have to write a check and forward it because the state says, we don't want separate number, this monetary, this and this and this. You're the village, here's your number, here's the money, give it to where it's supposed to go. So I think that just makes it simpler for them. My concern with all this, and this open up in the box, we pay $7,000 a year right now, currently almost 32.
Yep, so we talked to Justin about that too, about moving that expense to the district, that the
Right.
district starts picking up this expense.
Okay, so
But
everyone's-
fire, inspection.
Because
So,
in order to qualify for the 2% dues, the fire district has to certify that everything's being inspected.
I read the document that you sent me, there are like
Yeah.
4 things that the
Yeah.
money has to be spent on: pension funds, inspections, training.
It's now saying, like,
things.
You guys should be paying these invoices instead of the village.
so
transferring everything over to the fire district. And Justin's place, so we're talking 20-some thousand from the village. Town of Berry was, allegedly has no fire inspections at all, but they.
one,
One,
well,
the bar.
Whippoorwill bar.
Yeah, the one, I know there was always one, when he told me there was none, I go, no, I know there's one.
Whippoorwill, yeah.
And then the town of Cross Plains, so all that had to be done, and failure to do those, and the inspector comes in and goes, hey, you didn't qualify this year, then some of the fire districts back to make sure they cover the money to cover everything, not the taxpayer, I mean, the people. So, I mean, as long as he knows that, then that's.
Well, obviously, we're gonna probably get some resistance from the towns,
Yeah.
right? Because we do 200, they do a lot less than that. Now we're only gonna be paying 54% of that versus 100%. I told them I'm okay with,
He's gonna take it to the district board. Yeah.
Shouldn't, is that immaterial, because.
I agree with you 100%. I'm just telling you why it was probably designed the way it was designed is because of that.
Saying the 7,200, we're only gonna be responsible for paying 54%.
That's-
Towns are gonna be heavy to pick
Yeah.
up. the-
And we'll have to pay up the
Yeah.
54%.
Their bill, yeah.
Right, I got
In the town of Berry would always.
We're gonna, come on ahead.
you. Yeah, no, I understand. No, I was getting that. I was like, they only do one inspection, but we have,
200.
yeah, exactly, then.
The town, I know, years ago, Black Earth Fire District would get their portion of the money, they would just say, we want our money. And they would give them what they were entitled to based on their pocket, the assessed value that money came into. So it's nothing new. I mean, I don't know if they must have did their inspections too, but.
We didn't get into that kind of detail, it was short, but basically, the way it should work is they give it to us, we give it to the district, they spend the money how it's supposed to be spent. And then hopefully the things are going down, but giving up inspections, that was the second part of it. Yes, since we're not having that money anymore, absolutely, they should cover everything.
Otherwise, we get stuck with, you know,
So.
That would be a double whammy.
So then with the village doing this pass through of the $23,000 from the 2%, what does the town of Cross Plains do with their,
Everybody will have to do the same.
everybody else is going to be doing a pass through?
But like he said, like
But is
the
it still-
Cross Plains is already doing it 2 different ways. Because they're in the Mount Horeb Fire District, so they're already cutting their check to Mount Horeb, but then
But they
keeping
keep-
theirs. Yeah, so they're doing it 2 different
And the
ways.
same with Barry.
Yeah.
They're the same. This portion, there's.
So for them, they're already doing this system for half of their jurisdiction.
Sure, but I guess my question is does the village come out ahead if we do the pass through thing?
I have no, you would have to really do the,
Right, you see what I'm saying?
you have to do the math, but the problem is, this is really how statute's written, and this is how everybody else is doing it.
So we should just do
And
it,
all, it takes,
see what the number.
yeah, and it just takes an auditor to come in and say, well, that's wrong, I'm not gonna accept that. You know, the current guy is accepting it, but we've certainly learned our lesson when there's a changeover.
That's why I think if we can get them to pay for the inspections,
It's gonna offset.
it'll help.
Yeah.
Yeah, make it more,
Bigger
yeah.
than 54%, or whatever. Or, yeah, okay, yeah, that's fine. If this is-
The bigger, the next step is the bigger word fire.
Well, see, the question is, I don't know if the fire board can really go against it.
That statute.
Yeah,
Just nobody's ever looked at it, I mean.
no, because things were small in little amount, it didn't matter.
We did our own inspection.
Yeah, it just didn't, right, it just didn't matter, but now things are getting bigger, it's more costly, more complicated, more regulated, you know?
So I think we have an external fire inspector who goes around and does all those things. Company or a person does that.
Very good.
All right, so
Well, that sounds,
I think the next step is we'll probably just let Justin know and bring it to the district and just see what they say, or should it go to the board next?
I think Justin said he was gonna put it on the district.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if it should be where Cross Plains is, this is what we think and why versus, I don't know.
like, does the village board need to?
Well,
Or is it-
Yeah, I think we
Like,
do
do a
because,
recommendation to the district board or something.
yeah, because we're passing, we want to follow the rules, right? We're just passing through. Plus, we don't want to do fire inspections anymore.
Yeah, we should be informed of. what's
Yeah.
happening, changes and how it could have a possible financial impact
Yeah.
on the next budget cycle.
Yeah, yeah.
You should be made aware. I
Yeah.
agree.
And that's what Justin wants. He wants it done, obviously, before we start talking budget. Because that's gonna make a major difference for him too.
So does the board need to approve these changes or?
Well, I think it is because we're changing policy.
Yeah.
To me, this is a change in village policy. That's exactly what the board is supposed to be governing, is policy. I don't think it's much discussion here. I think it's, hey, this is what, we need to do. I just don't see a whole lot of debate on it, but I think there should be a vote on it because we are changing our policy and we can't do that from here.
Right.
I think it's too big.
They
for
do our
just an administrative change.
like that and say.
Yeah.
They don't care about that.
Plus the inspect, you're talking about 30,000.
Yeah.
That's a drop in the bucket on
Be okay, well, let's see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's based on assessed value. So the more homes and businesses you get, the pie grows bigger and bigger and bigger, so it just helps.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, sounds great. Discussion regarding Cross Plains pool operating costs. Do you wanna take this? Jim?
Yeah, sure. So obviously there's a pool committee. Sarah, has taken, she's been on the committee. She's gonna take lead on that. And she's gonna be in charge of Parks and Rec. So we want to start moving this somewhat forward. So the first step, I met with her, the first step is to figure out where we're at financially in the sense how it works. So I have some of the numbers from 2022, but we're gonna do 3 years. So I sent this to staff for them to fill in these squares. So hopefully when we come back, we'll have a pretty good understanding of where we are and how we're trending. So we can kind of look at that. And a lot of these expenses are just pulled out of the budget. So it's not like it's gonna be all that complicated. The same thing with revenues, just so we have an idea of some history. But here's what I think, so staff will do this and then we'll bring that back. But I think there's 2 things we need to do. I think we should get 2 comparisons. So I'm thinking Mazo has a pool very similar to ours. And Spring Green has one very similar in the sense, and when I say similar, 6 lanes, diving well. I don't care about the amenities and the shelter and how big it is and the parking lot and that. I'm just looking at the operation. So if we could get someone to volunteer to see if they can get the stuff from Mazo, the other from Spring Green. And I wouldn't look at breaking down the revenues. I don't really, but just how much money are they bringing in? How much are they spending and where it's being spent? And maybe you can find that on the internet. I don't know how many of these places put their budgets on, the internet or break them down like we do.
This was kind of hit or miss.
Yeah, so if
Just
we
do an
could,
open records request and.
yeah, we could do that. So if one would take each of those, and then what I've asked Sarah to do is to figure out exactly or close to what size pool they are looking to build. You know, and I don't know and I've asked staff to look at what our size pool is. I don't know if they do it by gallons or cubic feet or yards of water. I don't.
How many swim lanes you want, how many?
Well, no, because we don't really, that's gonna be the size part, but that doesn't really change the operation in the sense of heating, water, evaporation, filling, emptying, you know what I mean? That's kind of what I'm looking for, these operations. Now, salary will play a role, and that'll be the next, if the pool requires more staffing. Now, when I talked to Mike before he left, they were looking to design it because staffing is tied to square footage of the fenced in area. So he was saying that there wouldn't be needed staffing, but we'll have to see what this committee, but that would be like step 2. Right now, what I'd like us to figure out how our pool is, how does that compare to 2 other pools, basically the same size? Are we high, low? Because once we get that, we can prorate things. And we can then go look to see, find a place that just built a bigger pool or built a pool our size and get numbers from them. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Anybody want to try Mesa?
I got a lot of my.
Okay, yeah.
Is they Lauren?
I can do Mazo.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
Perfect.
I've got some other business out there that I have to take care of, so it'd be fun to meet the people that, can you give me an idea of who to start with?
I would just go to Village Hall. I would start with internet just to see what they have on there. You know,
Okay,
if they have budgets. If not, I would just go in person and say, hey, can you give me a breakdown of your revenue and expenses for the pool for the last 3 years?
Yeah. Or you can
Okay.
email the clerk and say, this is an open records request for this information. Yeah.
okay, all right. If I have other questions, I'll get with you, Bobby.
Sounds good.
Thanks.
So,
How soon are we doing this? By the next meeting?
yeah, if we could have the data by the next meeting so we can at least look at comparisons, that would be
Okay.
really helpful. And having this, just looking at trends to see, because the rest of it will be somewhat guesswork on, we'll have to look at, once we get all this, that to me is a base. Then we look at what they're looking at and we try to jump to that to see what the operating, and we're gonna have to guess, I'm guessing maybe a brand new pool with zero depth and some of the amenities, membership might go up.
Hopefully.
And
If we
these
can
are
find-
annual numbers, right? That are gonna go
Yes.
into this thing?
Yes, correct.
Okay,
But maybe we find someone, they can say, yeah, we had a pool like yours, we went to this and membership went up 20%.
okay. Happy to help. Give me something to do. I'm trying to learn listening to all this.
Okay, yeah, so does that make sense to everybody? There's no rush to this in the sense that we don't have a deadline of June 1st or anything. But I think like a lot of things, the pool, we went out there, there's a lot of excitement. We did a feasibility study and then that was about 2 years ago, we did the feasibility
It
study.
feels like it.
Yeah, whenever we did it, but it slowed down. So they're going a different avenue on what they are looking for support and revenue generation, but we're not going to get involved in that right away. They've got a different strategy. They're looking for a major donor to kick it off. So that's not really what we're for, but what we want to do is have something like we did for the Village Hall Police Department. Give some idea of how much more operation costs might be.
How are you doing, naming rights for the village hall?
Yeah.
The Tim Hillenbrand conference room.
But anyways, so this is just kind of information and a starting point on I just want us to give them a little bit of help and, we got the expertise to do it, and then that might help jumpstart them a little bit on what they're looking at. That's it, sir.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll get those numbers and then go from there with newer pool information, bigger pool information stuff. All right, so now we're on discussion regarding a local sales tax, because this was sort of brought up at a previous meeting. Bob, just wanted to throw it on and see like what our ideas were, or thoughts on this, or no thoughts on this.
No, we actually, when it first came out, when they allowed counties and municipalities to do it, I remember having a discussion. I can tell you I mean, obviously everybody knows the big pro is revenue, right?
Right.
The con is that there's a lot of administrative work tied to it. Secondly, the biggest worry is if we put on an extra 0.25%, are people going to just drive through Cross Plains and go somewhere where it's cheaper because we're an island of it? The county it's a little bit easier because it forces everybody to do it within the county. But I remember that as a discussion in Dane County for especially the villages and cities near the border or somewhere going to do it. But now I think just about every county does it. Madison has brought it up numerous times, and they're at the same thing as, no, we don't want to make it where people, they see it as anti-business.
So no other municipalities in Dane County really have a local sales tax.
I don't know of
Sales
any.
tax just exists sort of at the county level.
Yes, that's what I know.
Now, questions been brought up to me before. The village doesn't get any of the sales tax money. I mean, the state is collecting some, and some gets returned to us through state coffers, but there isn't any direct flow from.
No, but if you did your own, you would.
Right, but there isn't any formula that the state uses, like this municipality generated this much in sales tax, so they get this much back. Somebody was trying to tell me that if you, spent, like what comes from your municipality, then some of that sales tax flows back, and it's like a formula or something. I'm like, I've never heard anything like that before.
I have not heard that unless it's something built into the state formula, and I've never heard of that.
Okay, see, that's what I was wondering.
I have not heard of that. Not to say that it's not part of it, because I couldn't tell you how to do it.
Because the state charges sales tax, right?
Yeah.
That's what.
Yeah, the 5% is a state sales tax, and that's income tax and sales tax is what funds the state government.
Right, okay, but there wasn't any direct flow back. Somebody was trying to convince me that through the sales tax, the village gets X amount if you buy your car here versus somewhere else. I'm like, I haven't heard anything like that.
I
like off of the sales tax.
No.
And I was like, I don't know about that.
The only other thing we looked at, and we've looked at it twice now, is the wheel tax.
Right.
And that, I believe, has gone up now. I think it used to be capped at $40, but I think it's higher now.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, I think I read something.
County raised it last year. Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought,
It'd be 40 now.
yeah, and I thought the city was at 40, and I think they bumped it up. So that would be the only thing. And again, there's money there, but it's just adding another cost to everybody.
Right.
I think is it a regressive or a progressive?
That's a regressive.
Yeah, and we didn't like that.
And we looked at, remember, the transportation impact fee, which is much more fair, but now the courts have ruled that unconstitutional, so that's not an option anymore. Yeah.
So is there somewhere in the state government that would be able to tell us the revenue, sales tax revenue that comes in from the municipality for the businesses in the village of Cross Plains?
I don't know, because I'm not sure of, like a Quick Trip, for example, like, are they required to report sales from Cross Plains was this, sales from this station,
Or
or do they just aggregate statewide?
Yeah, statewide, this was what we collect.
Yeah, and I think I think the state just makes sure the businesses are paying. I don't think they keep track of that either.
I would guess that they don't keep track of it by zip code or whatever.
Quick Trip would have to do it all by Southern County, because not all counties have county tax either, too, so
Yeah, I don't, are there some, do you know counties that don't?
there are a couple, I think.
Are there? It used to be very rare. Now I'm getting hit no matter where I
Well,
go.
once every 2 or 3 years, I get it. In such and such a county just added a 5% to the, 0.5% on that. So
Okay.
On my stuff at work, and it's like. Yeah, I mean, it's,
I'm just, I brought up in here, well, only from the standpoint of another revenue source that could be identified for road work or whatever. I mean, we're getting taxed to death on everything else. I mean, you go to Remington's or something, you pay your 3.5%, you pay by credit card right on top.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I'm if everybody had a sales tax, I'd be for it, because what you're doing is helping people. You're helping the local with tourism when they come in and use our roads and our services. When they buy things, they're paying for some of it. Right now, they don't pay for any. But if you're the only one, and are they going to go to the Quick Trip in Black Earth or Middleton and not do Cross Plains? Because it's going to.
You need a local bread for $1 and Quick Trip here, you're gonna drive to Black Earth and back.
No, I wouldn't think you would do that.
But I'm saying, there's always gonna be the impact initially, because people are gonna complain because it's their tax. But, what are we losing out on? And it may be nothing, I wish there was a way we could figure out. Because we don't have a lot of businesses either, but take Zurn, you take Upstate and maybe there's a cap, it helps you.
Oh, there's plenty of sales tax being generated in this community,
And if you had
no doubt.
Onto that for a quarter, but then administratively, what is that cost us, or do we again get another pass-through check to come from the state saying your quarterly amount is X amount?
So I know there's communities that obviously have like the stadium tax and resort tax. But can you just do a regular sales tax, like a municipality?
Yeah, just like the county, the county does a 0.5%, and I
I think
believe.
you have to have a reason,
No.
like that your Wisconsin Dells and it's a resort.
No.
I didn't-
When
I
it
don't know.
first passed, the answer was no. Any municipality, townships can, but any municipality or county could do a sales tax. County could go up to a 0.5%, and at the time, villages and cities could go a 1/4 point. But that was many years ago. But you didn't have to have a justification.
I was gonna say the only ones that I know about, there is a justification, like,
I think the original county one was a 0.5% just to pay for the jail expansion at that time, then it was gonna go away, but of course that never happens, never does.
And it's just like wheel tax. I'm sure there's some regulations to where it can be spent, but just like the wheel tax has got to go to transportation. Well, we spend hundreds of thousands on transportation, so
what are you finding, Dave?
yeah.
Like you're looking something up.
yeah, I mean, the only quick AI generated thing popped up and said certain villages are authorized to charge a premier resort area tax, such as Ephraim, Sister Bay, Stockholm, and Lake Delton.
Yeah, I think Monaco just maybe was doing one, or,
And city of Milwaukee goes to 2% city sales tax.
oh,
Really?
on top.
Yeah,
of
but they got
the-
special permission for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that going through too. They proposed that and the state allowed them.
It may not be something we can do.
No, I think we can do it. I know what he's talking about, the resorts and stuff, and the stadium, those are special. I think,
Okay,
Just so you know, January 2025, Manitowoc County and then April of 2025, Racine County. So those two are.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, they don't have sales tax?
No, that's when they.
They
April
just-
of 2025.
but we can look into that. I mean, again, it's not gonna be that hard.
Well, my biggest thing is find out how much, can they tell us how much is generated in the village
Well, I think the first thing is to see if we can do it.
Right, well, some, yeah, but anyway, yeah, that'd be the first question. Then if we can they tell us how much yearly comes in?
Yeah.
And then can we designate for some of these quickly only road to?
Yeah. Like I say, I think that's gonna be a hard sell.
I agree.
I-
Since we'd be the only one doing it, it would be.
Yeah,
I know, but
I would think the businesses would come in and raise hell, you know.
This valley, first one.
Well,
Besides the
Madison's had it for whenever it was legal.
wheelbacks?
Yeah, they jump on everything. I think they were before, weren't they, but, no, but weren't they, I think they did it before the county, didn't they?
Oh, you're right, I think they did. Yeah.
I think they were the first, and they went max. Everybody else was doing below 40, they went to 40 right off the bat. Because the county, I thought, was at 28 or something, and they just recently upped it.
Yeah,
And when we did our research, looking around, the ones that did were anywhere from 10 to 20 bucks. Because there's quite a few municipalities that do that wheel tax. And that you can look up real easy.
The chief was just complaining about Fitchburg's went up again
Did it?
or something. Yeah, he was complaining about it the other day.
Yeah, because I know the state passed where you could bump it up. All right, well, that's something to look at.
so did we want to continue to look at the local sales or?
Well, I think if we, I think it can't hurt. I'll take a look to see if it's legal or not.
I'm not seeing anything on this state rate that just keeps showing county or city. And the only city I ever see on here.
Right, no, I'll look it up in the state statute.
So but that doesn't necessarily mean it.
Yeah, I don't, like I say, that, I know there's a lot of talk about it, but a lot of people thought it was more of a negative than a positive.
Okay. So we're on the future agenda items, but have a future agenda item. I know Tim had discussed with me just how the committee felt about, do you guys want to move the meeting time to 6 o'clock or is 6:30 better for people? Doing it earlier,
Doesn't matter to me, I'll go whatever the group wants.
And the first Wednesday anyways, right, with your staffing and all that.
Yeah.
And if everybody can make 6 o'clock, I mean.
Yeah, I don't have a
I
problem.
think we had moved it to 6:30 because there were some people who couldn't make 6.
I know, I was listening to the committee a long time ago. I think one of the committee members
Yes.
had children and she had a problem making dinner for them and it was Amelia.
Oh, that's right.
She was like, she was having problems just getting home from work, getting dinner and getting to the meeting at 6. So she wanted it pushed back to 6.
I'm fine moving it.
Yeah.
She had
to
extra
6.
time.
Well, originally we were at 7 and then we were talking about 6.
Oh, I
and then-
think we were at 6.
I don't remember.
6:30.
Oh.
She had a problem with being too early.
Oh, yeah, I know that one. I remember that discussion, but I thought we were at 7 and people wanted to move it to 6.
What are other communities?
It's all across the board.
It's all
Some are
across the
7, some are 6. Yeah.
Um,
I think we're the only one that's 6:30.
yeah.
Everyone's like on the hour except us.
Well, plan is at 6:30.
Oh, they are? Oh,
6:30?
I thought they were 6. Okay.
No, that's 6:30.
I mean, is that an issue for, it all takes is one to say you can, and I'm fine with that too.
I don't have an issue.
I don't have an issue. I know there has been times where being a half hour later has helped, like when they had that candidates forum, it just sort of happened
Yeah.
on that day. Sometimes it does work out to where being that half hour later,
We can always,
like,
if we know ahead of time, like, we can be like, okay, next month's meeting, can we move it to this time? You know, we can do a one-off.
Yeah, because it's not like we're overwhelmed with people coming, except for that one day.
so yeah, so do we have to actually make it, can we just say we'll have the meeting at 6 o'clock next month and just see how it goes?
Yeah, there's no,
It doesn't have to be an official item and vote on it or whatever.
I'll also make sure to communicate that.
yeah, we just gotta make sure that we change it on the
It'll be
agenda.
posted, yeah, it'll be changed on the packet and changed on everyone.
Phone reminder.
Well, right. What I'm saying, you're gonna be like getting here a half hour late, and you just to do it all, all year at 6:30. All right, well, we'll give it a go at 6 o'clock. All right, well, that's it. Anybody else want any future agenda items? So,
Need some homework to do.
yeah. All right, well, so I have a motion to adjourn then.
Move, adjourn.
Okay.
Second.
I'll second it.
All right. Hey, Lauren,
Yeah.
Carly wanted, me to ask you, any luck in, I guess you were looking at some
Some
grants?
grants. Yeah. I'm gonna be talking to her. I had some delays. I was out of town. I was sick before I left and when I got back, so I've been a little delayed, but I'm back on it. So I have some thoughts that I need to go over with her as to the best way to approach this, because it's not like we're going to find a single grant that's going to want to fund what it is we need to get funded. We have to put it into an interesting ask. So I'll talk to her probably Friday if she's there.
All right.
And
Not be here Friday.
I guess
yeah.
she won't be here Friday.
Oh, she won't be here Friday. Okay, I'll send her an email and find out when she can meet with me, and then we'll get back to it.
All right, sounds good. Appreciate it.
Sure.
Okay.
We all in favor, yeah.
Yeah, I
Oh,
know.
I'm sorry. I thought you voted already.
Oh, you kind of just.
Oh,
So we did have a motion and a second for adjournment. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Now we're adjourned.
all right. Sorry about that.